Gita Shloka.
12th
Anyone
shloka
remembers?
we already read.
12th Shloka, right? What is the Shloka? Anyone remembers?
यस्या जञ्जनयन् कर्षं गुरुवृद्धाः पितामह सिंहनादं वीणाद्वयोचहै सङ्गं तथामौ प्रतापवान्
Haribol. Very nice, Matmanikam Prabhuji. What does it mean?
Bhishma, the senior, almost grandson, Kuru dynasty, grandfather to all the fighters, and he is blowing the his console, and
Hmm.
the sound coming as a line, and giving pleasure to Duryodhana.
Yes, very nice. So, Pitamaha Bhishma blew his conch shell and he blew it with so much of fiercefulness and force that it sounded like the roar of a lion. Right? So, and that gave Duryodhana so much of joy. That was the shloka. So, a continuation to that is shloka 13. We'll see this today. तथा शङ्खश्च वीर्यश्च पनावानकगोमुखः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत्. So the translation says, after that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. Right? It's self-explanatory, which is why there's no purport. So once Pitamaha Bhishma blew his conch shell, after that, everyone started blowing their conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns from the Kaurava's side, from Duryodhana's side, and the combined sound was tumultuous. That is Shloka 13. Continuation of that is Shloka 14, 15, 16, everything will be related to the conch shell blowing. So we will see that one by one in the upcoming classes. So starting from tomorrow. So this is Shloka 13. It's a simple Shloka. Please make sure you go through this by heart and come for the next class. Okay? Hare Krishna. Alright, so now let's begin our book reading. Okay. So we are in which chapter right now?
Second
Anyone?
chapter.
Chapter 2,
Chapter 2. We are in which book?
Science of Self-Realization.
Haribol, Science of Self-Realization. And what is the name of chapter 2?
Learning the Science of the Soul.
Sorry, Babuji.
Learning the Science of the Soul.
Chapter 1. I'm asking chapter 2.
Choosing a spiritual master.
Yes, choosing a spiritual teacher. That is chapter 2. Haribol. So, almost going to complete the chapter today. So, we will quickly see.
Otherwise, if you co-host me, I will share the screen.
Okay, Prabhuji. You can share. Okay, I'll make you co-host once again. Are you able to do now, Prabhuji?
Yes, madam.
Yes, Haribol. Anyone remembers what we read in the last class? Meanwhile,
Yes, highly praising Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami and how the parambara comes and how we have to strictly obeisance to the parambara and Sapta Pramana, the words from the authoritative people, and how we have to learn the things, and how we have to go for the spiritual world. And Hare Krishna movement, the what are the movement activities, and told to the London Times reporter. And if you have one correct person following follower is there, then the movement will be in alive like that.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Madhmanikam Prabhuji, for summarizing it. Anyone else wants to add anything? Okay. So we will begin our class for today. So we'll have to start from gentlemen. This paragraph, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Praveen Prabhuji, please, you have give priority.
Yeah, Praveen Prabhuji can start because he wanted to leave early.
Hare Krishna Mataji, then Rattanam. Then
Hare
we
Krishna.
will. Okay, I'll read Mataji, then we will.
Okay, Prabhuji, sure.
I will read them later.
Eternal preceptor and eternal guide.
Gentleman, Aldo.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanavad
Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam.
Dhanni
Next
Mataji.
para, next para.
Thank you.
Gentleman.
Eternal preceptor and our
No,
eternal guide.
Gentleman.
What you see on
Gentleman.
the screen now, Mataji? Gentlemen.
Gentlemen, although we are like ignorant children in the knowledge of the transcendence, still His divine grace, my Gurudeva, has kindled a small fire within us to dissipate the invincible darkness of empirical knowledge. We are now so much on the safe side that no amount of his philosophical argument by the empiric schools of thought can deviate us an inch from the position of our eternal dependence on the lotus feet of His divine grace. Furthermore, we are prepared to challenge the most erudite scholars of Mayavada school and prove that the personality of of Godhead and his transcendental sports in Goloka alone constitute the sublime information of the Vedas. There are explicit indications of this in the Chandogya Upanishad 8.13.11. Shyamakchavalam prapadyai Shavalakchamam prapadyai. For receiving the mercy of Krishna, I surrender into his energy, Radha, and for receiving the mercy of his energy, I surrender unto Krishna. Also in the RG Veda 1.2 point 22.20. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Shall I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, you can continue. Hare Krishna.
Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sadha Pasyanti Suryaha Diviva Diviva Chakshur Atatam Vishnur Paramam Padam. The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu are the supreme. The lotus feet of Lord Vishnu are the supreme objective of all the demigods. These lotus feet of the Lord are as enlightening as the sun in the sky. The plain truth, so vividly explained in the Gita, which is the central lesson of the Vedas, is not understood or even suspected by the most powerful scholars of the empiric schools. Herein lies the secret of Sri Vyasa Puja. When we meditate on the transcendental pastimes of the absolute Godhead, we are proud to feel that we are His eternal servitors, and we become jubilant and dance with joy. All glory to my divine Master, for it is He who, as out of His unceasing flow of mercy, stirred up within us such a moment of eternal existence. Let us bow down at His lotus feet. Gentlemen, Had he not appeared before us to deliver us from the
Thraldom.
Thardom of this, thanks Prabhuji, of this gross worldly delusion, surely we should have remained for lives and ages in the darkness of helpless captivity. Had he not appeared before us, we would not have been able to understand the eternal truth of the sublime teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Had he not appeared before us, we could not have been able to know the significance of the first sloka of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. Personally, I have no hope for any direct service for the coming crores of births of the sojourn of my life, but I am confident that some day or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me, with all my earnestness, pray at the lotus feet of my divine Master to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings, but to let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty, Absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my Divine Master. Let me therefore bow down at his lotus feet with all the humility at my command. Hare Krishna. Dandavata.
Chapter 3. Yagambara Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare
sir. Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji.
I'll
Dandavata.
read. I'll read. Yagambara Prabhuji, chapter 3.
Looking at the cultural background, in India's greatest impersonation meditated on Lord Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada chastises impersonist yogis and swamis, the nominal followers of the 9th century teacher Shankara. In this community on the latest meditation on the Bhagavad Gita, fools rush in where angels fear to tread, whereas Shankara, the greatest of the personalists, slow down Prabhuji, personalist say, offers his due, scroll down a little bit, offers his due respect to Krishna and his book Bhagavad Gita. The foolish say that we did not surrender to personal Krishna. Oh, number one, O Bhagavad Gita, though the 18 chapters, thou showest upon man the immortal nectar of the wisdom of the Absolute, O blessed Gita, by thee Lord Krishna himself enlightened Arjuna. Afterward, the ancient sage Vyasa included thee in the Mahabharata, O loving mother, destroyer of man's rebirth into the darkness of this mortal world. Upon thee I meditate. Number two, salutations to thee, O Vyasa. Thou art of mighty intellect, and thine eyes, and large as the petals of the full-blown lotus. It was thou who brightened this lamp of wisdom, filling it with the oil of the Mahabharata. Shall I continue?
Yes, Prabhuji, little more you can
Ah,
continue.
you want to continue or
Okay, I will continue. Purport. Sripada Shankaracharya was an impersonalist from the materialistic point of view, but he never denied the spiritual form known as Satchitananda Vigraha, or the eternal, all blissful form of knowledge which existed before the material creation. When he spoke of Supreme Brahman as impersonal, he meant that the Lord's Satchitananda form was not to be confused with a material conception of personality. In the very beginning of his commentary on the Gita, he maintains that Narayana, the Supreme Lord, is transcendental to the material creation. The Lord existed before the creation of as the transcendental personality, and he has nothing to do with material personality. Lord Krishna is the same supreme personality, and he has no connection with a material body. He descends in his spiritual eternal form, but foolish people mistake his body to be like our Shankara's preaching of impersonalism is especially meant for teaching foolish persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary man composed of matter. No one would care to read the Gita if it had been spoken by a material man, and certainly Vyasadeva could not have bothered to incorporate it into the history of the Mahabharata. According to the above verses, Mahabharata is the history of the ancient world, and Vyasadeva is the writer of this great epic. The Bhagavad Gita is identical with Krishna, and because Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, there is no difference between Krishna and his words. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is as worshipable as Lord Krishna himself, both being absolute. One who hears the Bhagavad Gita as is actually hears the words directly from the lotus lips of the Lord. But unfortunate persons may say that the Gita is too antiquated for the modern man who wants to find out God by speculation. Number 3. I salute thee, O Krishna, O thou art the refuge of ocean-born Lakshmi, and all who take refuge at thy lotus feet. Thou art indeed the wish-fulfilling tree for thy devotee. The signs of self-realization. Thy one hand holds a staff for driving cows, and thy other hand is raised, the thumb touching the tip of thy forefinger, indicating divine knowledge. Divine knowledge. Salutations to thee, O Supreme Lord, for thou art the milker of the ambrosia of the Gita. Purport. Sripada Shankaracharya explicitly says, you fools just worship Govinda and that Bhagavad Gita spoken by Narayana himself. Yet foolish people still conduct their research work to find out Narayana. Consequently, they are wretched and they waste their time for nothing. Narayana is never wretched nor Daridra, rather. He is worshipped by the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, as well as by all living entities. Shankara declared himself to be Brahman, but he admits Narayana or Krishna to be the Supreme Personality who is beyond the material creation. He offers his respects to Krishna as the Supreme Brahman or Parabrahman because he, Krishna, is worshipable by everyone. Only the fools and enemies make enemies of Krishna who cannot understand what the Bhagavad Gita is, though they make commentaries on it, say it is not the personal Krishna to whom we have to surrender ourselves utterly, but to the unborn, beginningless, eternal who speaks through Krishna. Fools rest in the way the angels fear to tread, whereas Shankara, the greatest of the impersonalists, offers his due respect to Krishna and his book, the Bhagavad Gita. The foolish say that we need not surrender to the personal Krishna. Such unenlightened people do not know that Krishna is absolute and that there is no difference between his inside and outside. The difference of inside and outside is experienced in the dual material world. In the absolute world, there is no such difference because in the absolute, everything is spiritual. Sachidananda, and Narayana or Krishna belong to the absolute world. In the absolute world, there is only one the factual personality, and there is no distinction between body and soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Then
the Upanishad? are as a herd of cows. Lord Krishna, son of Bauhad, is their milker. Arjuna is the calf, the supreme nectar of the Gita, is the milk, and the wise man of purified intellect is the drinker. Purport. Unless one understands spiritual variegatedness, one cannot understand the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes, endurance, and paraphernalia are all Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. In short, everything of his transcendental association, knowledge and eternity. There is no end of his name, form, etc. Extra, unlike in the material world, where all things have their end, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Only fools deride him, whereas it is Sankara, the greatest impersonalist, who worships him as cows and his pastimes as the son of Vasudeva and pleasure of Devaki. So, son of Vasudeva, destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, though supreme bliss of Mother Devaki, though Guru of the universe, teachers of the worlds, we, O Krishna, I salute purport. Sangara describes him as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Does he mean thereby that he is worshipping an ordinary material man? He worships Krishna because he knows that Krishna's birth and activities are all supernatural. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Krishna's birth and the activities are mysterious and transcendental, and therefore only the devotee of Krishna can know them perfectly. Sangara was not such a fool that he would accept Krishna as an ordinary man and at the same time offer him all devotional obeisances. Knowing him as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, according to the Bhagavad Gita, only by knowing the transcendental birth and activities of Krishna can one attain liberation by acquiring a spiritual form of like Krishna's. There are 5 different kinds of liberation. One who merges into the spiritual asuras of Krishna. Spiritual aras of Krishna, known as the impersonal Brahman effulgence, does not develop his spiritual body, but one who fully develops his spiritual existence becomes an associate of Narayana or Krishna in different spiritual abodes. One who enters into the abode of Narayana develops a spiritual form exactly like Narayana's 400, and one who enters into the highest spiritual abode of Krishna, known as the Kologa Vrindavan, develops a spiritual form of 2 hands like Krishna's. Sangara, as an incarnation of Lord Shiva, knows all these spiritual existence, but he did not disclose them to his then Buddhist followers because it was impossible for them to know about the spiritual world. Lord Buddha preached that void is the ultimate goal. So, how could his followers understand spiritual variegatedness? Therefore, Sangara said, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Our material variegatedness is false, but spiritual variegatedness is fact. In the Bhatma Prana, Lord Shiva has admitted that he had to preach the philosophy of Maya or illusion. In the Kali Yuga, as another edition of the void philosophy of Buddha, he had to do this by the order of the Lord for specific reason. He disclosed his real mind, however, by recommending the people that people worship Krishna. For no one can be saved simply by mental speculations composed of word jugglery and grammatical maneuvers. Sangara for further instructs Bhajagovindam 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 Mudamade Samprapte Sannihire Kale Nahi Nahi Rakshadi the Dukrun Karane. You intellectual fools, Just worship Govinda. Just worship Govinda. Just worship Govinda. Your grammatical knowledge and word vocabulary will not save you at the time of death. At that terrifying river of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, over which the Pandavas victory crossed Bhishma and Drona, where as the high banks, Jayadratha as the river's water, the king of Gandhara and the blue water lily, Salya the shark, Kripa the current, Karna the mighty waves, Swatama and Vikarna the dread alligators, and Priyona the very whirlpool, and by Tau, O Krishna, vast the ferryman. May the spotless lotuses of the Mahabharata that grows on the water are the words of Vyasa, and of which the Bhagavad Gita is the irresistibly sweet fragrance, and its tales of heroes, the full-blown petals, fully opened by the talk of Lord Hari, who destroys the sins of Kali Yuga, and on which daily light the nectar-seeking souls, as so many bees swarming joyously, may this lotus of the Mahabharata bestow on us the highest good. Salutation to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of supreme bliss, by whose grace and compassion the dumb become eloquent, and the lame scale mountains. Him I salute purpose. Foolish followers of the foolish speculators cannot understand the meaning of offering salutation to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss. Shankara himself offered his salutation to Lord Krishna so that some of his intelligent followers might understand the real fact by the example set by their great master Shankara, the incarnation of Lord Shiva. But there are many obstinate followers of Shankara who refuse to offer their salutation to Lord Krishna and instead mislead innocent persons by injecting materialism into the Bhagavad Gita and confusing innocent readers by their commentaries, and consequently the readers never have the opportunity to become blessed by offering salutation to Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes. The greatest disservice to humanity is to keep mankind in darkness about the science of Krishna or Krishna consciousness by distorting the sense of the Gita. Salutation to that supreme
Hare
name.
Krishna. Pushpa Mataji, would you like to read next? Hare Krishna.
Salutation to that supreme shining one, whom the creator Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, Marut, and all divine beings praise with hymn, whose glories are sung by the verse of the Vedas, of whom the singer of Samasinga, Sama and of those glory the Upanishad proclaim in full cure, whom the yogis see with their mind absorbed in perfect meditation, and of whom all the hosts of God and demon know not the limitations. To him, the supreme God, Krishna, be all salutation. Him we salute, him we salute, him we salute. Purport. By recitation of the ninth verse of his meditation, quoted from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sankara has indicated that Lord Krishna is worshipable by one and all, including himself. He gives hints to materialists, impersonalists, mental speculators, void philosophers, and all other candidates subjected to the punishments of material miseries. Just offer salutation to Lord Krishna, who is worshipable by Brahma, Shiva, Varuna, Indra, and all other demigods. He has not mentioned, however, the names of Vishnu because Vishnu is identical with Krishna. The Vedas, the Upanishads are meant for understanding the process by which one can surrender unto Krishna. The yogis try to see him, Krishna, within themselves by meditation. In other words, it is for all the demigods and demons who do not know where the ultimate end is that Sankara teaches, and he especially instructs the demon and the fools to offer salutation to Krishna in his word, the Bhagavad Gita, by following in his footsteps. Only by such act will the demon be benefited, not by misleading their innocent follower by so-called mental speculation or so-bottle meditation. Sankara directly offers salutation to Krishna, as if to show the fools who are searching after light that there is light, here is light like the sun, but the fallen demons are like owls that will not open their eye on account of their fear of the sunlight itself. These owls will never open their eye to see the sublime light of Krishna and his words of Bhagavad Gita. They will, however, comment on Gita with their closed owl eye to mislead their unfortunate reader and follower. Sankara, however, discloses the light to his less intelligent follower and so that the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna are the only source of light. This is all to teach the sincere seekers of truth to offer salutation to Lord Krishna and thus surrender unto him without misgivings. That is the highest perfection of life, and that is the highest teaching of Sankara, the great learned scholar whose teaching drove the widest philosophy of Buddha out of India, the land of knowledge. Om Tat Sat. Krishna conscious movement is the genuine Vedic way. After reading on the Krishna conscious movement in the Los Angeles Times, January 11, 1970, Srila Prabhupada began an unusual correspondence with Dr. J.F. Stahl, professor of philosophy of the South Asian languages at the University of California, Berkeley. Excerpt from the Los Angeles Times article. Dr. J.F. Stahl, professor of philosophy and Near Eastern languages at UC Berkeley and the instructor in Indian philosophy, believe that the Krishna sect is an authentic Indian religion, that its adherents are sincere. He attributes the society's rapid increase in members of the tendency of today's younger generation to reject organized church going while at the same time searching for fulfillment of a belief in mysticism. He points out, however, that persons who turn away from Christianity, Mohammedanism, Judaism have unusually lost faith with the personal God of those religions and are looking for a mystical religion without absolute. These people in the Krishna movement have turned to Hinduism, but curiously, it is a cult that is highly personalistic. Stahl said they accept a personal God, Krishna. The Christianity has that. I feel that they have transferred some of their Christian background to a Hindu sect. He also feels that they spend too much time chanting to develop a philosophy. On this ground, he and other of on the faculty turned down the request to grant credit for an experimental course in Krishna consciousness, which will be taught during the winter quarter by Hans Carey, president of the sect's Berkeley Temple. Srila Prabhupada letter to the Los Angeles Times, January 14, 1970. Editor, Los Angeles Times. Dear Sir, with reference to your article in the Los Angeles Times dated Sunday, January 11, 1970, under the heading Krishna Chant, I beg to point out that the Hindu religion is perfectly based on the personal conception of the God or Vishnu. The impersonal concept of the God is a side issue or one of the three features of God. The absolute truth is ultimately the supreme personality of Godhead. The Paramatma conception is the localized aspect of his omnipresence. In the impersonal conception is the aspect of his greatness and eternity. But all these combined together make the complete whole. Dr. J.F. Stahl's statement that the Krishna cult is a combination of Christian and Hindu religion, as if something manufactured by concoction, is not correct. If Christian, Mohammedan, and Buddhist religion are personal, that is quite welcome. But the Krishna religion has been personal from a time long, long ago when Christian, Mohammedan, Buddhist religion had not yet come into existence. According to the Vedic conception, religion is basically made by the personal God as his laws. Religion cannot be manufactured by man or anyone except God superior to man. Religion is, is the law of God only. Unfortunately, all the Swamis who came before me in this country stressed the impersonal aspect of the God without sufficient knowledge of God's personal aspect. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is said that only less intelligent person consider the God is originally impersonal, but assumes a form when he incarnate. The Krishna philosophy, however, based on the authority of the Vedas, is that the originally the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead. His planetary expansion is present in everyone's heart in his localized aspect. In the impersonal Brahman, effulgence is the transcendental light and heat distributed everywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that the aim of the Vedic way of searching out of the absolute truth is to find out the personal God. One who is satisfied with the other aspect of the absolute truth, namely the Paramatma feature of the or the Brahman feature, is to be considered possessed of a poor fund of knowledge. Recently, we have published our Sri Isopashanad, a Vedic literature. In this small booklet, we have thoroughly discussed this point. As far as the Hindu religion is concerned, there are millions of Krishna temple in India, and there is not a single Hindu who does not worship Krishna. Therefore, this Krishna conscious movement is not a concocted idea. We invited all scholars, philosophers, religionists, mm, and members of the general public to understand that this movement by critical study. And if one does so seriously, one will understand the sublime position of this great movement. The chanting process also authorized Professor Stahl's feeling of disgust in the matter of constant chanting of the holy name of Krishna is a definite proof of his lack of knowledge in this authorized movement of the Krishna consciousness. Instead of turning down the request to give Carey's course credit, he and all other learned professors of the University of California at Berkeley should patiently hear about the truth of this authorized movement so much needed at present in godless society. Great for the course was later established. This is only movement which can save the confused younger generation. I shall invite all responsible guardian of this country to understand this transcendental movement and give us all on honest facility to spread it to everyone's benefit. AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami,
Ramya.
spiritual master of the Hare Krishna movement. Hare Krishna Mata Ji, Pranam. Mata, shall I continue?
Mataji, please take this. The exchange between Srila Prabhupada and Dr. Stahl. January 23, 1970, Swami A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Dear Swamiji, thank you very much for sending me a copy of your letter to the Los Angeles Times, now also published in the Daily Californian. I think you will agree with me that apart from publicity, little is gained by discussing religious or philosophic issues through interviews or letters in the press. But allow me to make two brief observations. First, I know that devotion to Krishna is old, though definitely not as old as the Vedas, and has never been influenced by Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. I never refer to Buddhism in this connection. The difference between the personal and impersonal are relatively rare. But adopting this distinction for simplicity, I expressed surprise at seeing people who have grown up in a Western culture, which stresses the personal take to an Indian culture, which does the same. I am less surprised when people who are dissatisfied with the Western monotheism tied to an Indian philosophy which stresses an impersonal absolute. Second, I never expressed nor felt disgust at their chanting of the name of Krishna. I am not only not irritated at it like some people, but I rather like. But it is an indisputable fact that the Bhagavad Gita, not to mention the Vedas, does not require such constant chanting. The Gita deals with the quite different subjects which I take at some length in my courses on the philosophies of India. Thank you. You are sincerely F. Stahl, Professor of Philosophy in the South Asian Languages. January 30, 1970, J.F. Stahl, J.F. Stahl, Professor of Philosophy and South Asian Languages, University of California, Berkeley, California. My dear Professor Stahl, I thank you very much for your kind letter dated January 23, 1970. In the last paragraph of your letter, you have mentioned that you are not irritated at the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra like some people, but rather like it. This has given me such satisfaction, and I am sending here with a copy of our magazine, Back to Godhead issue number 28, in which you will find how the students at a program at Ohio State University like the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, although all of them were neophytes to this cult of chanting. Actually, this chanting is very pleasing to the heart and is the best means of infusing spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness into the hearts of people in general. This is the easiest process of spiritual realization and is recommended in the Veda. In the Brahma Naradiya Purana, it is clearly stated that it is only chanting of the holy name of the Hari Krishna that can save the people from the problems of materialistic existence. And there is no other alternative, no other alternative in this age of Kali. Western culture is monotheistic, and but Westerners are being misled by impersonal Indian speculation. The young people of the West are frustrated because they are not diligently taught about monotheism. They are not satisfied with this process of teaching and understanding. The Krishna consciousness movement is approved to them because they are being really trained to understand Western monotheism under the authoritative Vedic system. We do not simply theoretically discuss. Rather, we learn the prescribed method of Vedic regulations. But I am surprised to see that in the last paragraph of your letter to you say it is an indisputable fact that the Bhagavad Gita, not to mention the Vedas, does not require such constant chanting. I think that you have misled the following verse in the Bhagavad Gita apart from many other similar verses. Tatatam kirta yanto mam yadandas cha vrda vrataha namashyantas cha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashada. Bhagavad Gita 9.14. The engagement of the great souls freed from delusion and perfect in their realization of God is described here. Satatam kritayanto mam. They always are always satatam chanting kritayante my glories and nityayukta upasade always worshipping me. So I do not know how you can say indisputable. And if you want to reference from the Veda, I can give you many. In the Vedas, the chief transcendental vibration, Omkara, is also Krishna. Pranava, Omkara is the divine substance of the Veda. Following the Vedas means standing the Vedic mantra. And no Vedic mantras is complete without Omkara. In the Mandukya Upanishad, Omkara is stated to be the most auspicious sound, a presentation of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed again in the Atharva Veda. Omkara is the sound representation of the Supreme Lord and is therefore the principal word in the Vedas. In this connection, the Supreme Lord Krishna says, Pranavaha Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. I am the syllable Om, all the Vedic months. Bhagavad Gita 7 point. Furthermore, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15, Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart. All the Veda, I am to be known. I am the compiler of Vedanta. And I know Veda as it is. The Supreme Lord seated in everyone's heart is described in both the Mundaka and Vadeswara Upanishad. Subarnu, Sayuja, Sakaya, Sakya, the Supreme Lord and the individual soul are sitting in the body like two friendly birds in a tree. One bird is eating the fruits of the tree or the reaction of material activities, and the other bird, the super soul, is witnessing. The goal of Vedantic study, therefore, is to know the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. This point is stressed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 13, where it is stated that by the mystic yoga process, ultimately vibrating the sacred syllables, Om, one attains to his supreme spiritual planet. In the Vedanta Sutra, which you have certainly read the first chapter, Adhikarana 4, Sutra 22 states positively, Andavrittaha Sabdat, by sound vibration, one becomes liberated by devotional service, by understanding well the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can go to his abode and never come back again to his material condition. How is it possible? The answer is simply by chanting his name constantly. This is accepted by the exemplary disciple Arjuna, who has perfectly learned the conclusion of spiritual science from the Yogeshwara, the master of the mystic knowledge, Krishna, recognizing Krishna to be the supreme Brahman. Arjuna addresses him, Stana, Stane Rishikesh, the world becomes joyful hearing your name, and thus do all become attached to you. Bhagavad Gita 11.36. The process of chanting is hearing as thrice the direct means of conducting the supreme absolute truth, the personality of God. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Krishna, the soul is attracted by the supreme person, Krishna, to go home back to God. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated that all the Vedic rituals, mantras, and the understanding that come are compressed into the 8 verse Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Similarly, in the Kali Sandarana Upanishad, it is stated that these 16 verse Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare are especially meant for counteracting the degrading and contaminating influence of this materialistic age of Kali. All these points are elaborately presented in my book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The process of chanting is therefore not only the sublime method for practical perfection of life, but the authorized Vedic principle inaugurated by the greatest Vedic scholar and devotee, Lord Chaitanya, whom we consider an incarnation of Krishna. We are simply following in his authorized footsteps. The scope of Krishna consciousness movement is universal. The process of regaining one's original spiritual status of eternal life, full with bliss and knowledge, is not attacked by theorizing. Spiritual life is not described in the Vedas as theoretical, dry, or impersonal. The Vedas aims at the inculcation of pure love of God only, and this harmonious conclusion is practically realized by the Krishna consciousness movement or by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, as the goal of spiritual realization is only one, love of God. So the Vedas stand as a single comprehensive whole in the matter of transcendental understanding. Only the incomplete views of various parties, apart from the bona fide Vedic lines of teachings, give a rapturous appearance to the Bhagavad Gita. A conciliative factor adjusting all apparently diverse proposition of the Vedas is the essence of the Veda or Krishna consciousness, that is love of God. Thanking you once again, you are sincerely, yes, Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Hare
February 8th.
Krishna. Done with pranam. So we'll stop with this today. We'll continue the reply tomorrow. Okay. So thank you so much, Matmanikam Prabhuji, for the support. Thank you so much, everyone. Please go through and come. We will continue this tomorrow. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन दंडवत प्रणाम्स
Hey, Krishna, Mataji, Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू सो मच